Stop. If your dog ever stares at you like this, you might be missing something important. Because dogs don't stare without a reason. It might seem small, almost unnoticeable at first. You're sitting there, maybe scrolling your phone, watching TV, or just thinking about something completely unrelated, and then you feel it, that subtle awareness, like someone is watching you. You look up, and there they are. Your dog, completely still, eyes locked on you. Not blinking, not distracted, just staring. And for a moment, it feels strange. Not in a scary way, but in a way that makes you pause. Because it doesn't feel random. It feels intentional. And most people do what feels natural in that moment. They either laugh it off, look away, or say something like, "What are you looking at?" and move on. But what if that moment isn't something to ignore? What if that stare actually means something deeper than you think? Because in your dog's world, staring is not casual. It's not something they do without a reason. Every behavior your dog shows is driven by something, an instinct, a feeling, a need, and when your dog chooses to stare at you instead of doing anything else, that choice matters. It's a form of communication. A silent one, but a powerful one. The problem is, humans are not naturally good at reading it. We rely on words. Dogs don't. They rely on signals, body language, eye contact, presence. And when those signals don't get understood, the message gets lost. That's why so many people miss what their dog is actually trying to say in those moments. Now here's the part that changes everything. Not all stares mean the same thing. The way your dog looks at you, the situation you're in, the timing, even the smallest details, they all matter. Because your dog isn't just staring at you, they're reacting to something. Sometimes it's external. Something in the environment, a sound, a movement, a shift you didn't notice. But a lot of the time, it's internal. It's about you, your behavior, your energy, your state. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to human emotions, far more than most people realize. They don't understand your thoughts, but they read your patterns, the way your shoulders move, the way your breathing changes, the tension in your body, the tone of your voice. Even when you're silent, your dog is still reading you. That's why sometimes your dog will stare at you during moments when nothing is happening. No noise, no distraction, just you and them. And that stare can feel different depending on the situation. Sometimes it feels calm, almost comforting. Other times it feels intense, like they're trying to figure something out. And occasionally, it feels a little unsettling, like they know something you don't. But the truth is, your dog isn't judging you. They're trying to understand you. They're observing, processing, interpreting. Because in their world, you are one of the most important things they need to understand. You control their environment, their routine, their safety, their connection. So naturally, they pay attention to you more than anything else. One of the most common reasons your dog stares at you is anticipation. Not in a random way, but in a learned way. Dogs are incredible at picking up patterns. If something usually happens after a certain behavior, they remember it. You standing up might mean a walk. You opening a cabinet might mean food. You grabbing your keys might mean you're leaving. Over time, your dog builds these associations. So when they stare at you, sometimes they're not just looking, they're waiting. Waiting for the next signal, the next move, the next moment. And that stare is their way of staying ready, focused, tuned in, because they don't want to miss it. But anticipation isn't the only reason. There's something deeper that happens when your dog stares at you in a calm, relaxed way. No tension, no urgency, just quiet eye contact. That kind of stare is often linked to bonding, connection, trust. It's similar to how humans make eye contact with people they feel close to. It's not about needing something. It's about being present, being aware of each other. In fact, studies have shown that when dogs and humans make soft eye contact, both can experience an increase in oxytocin, the same hormone linked to bonding and affection. That means your dog staring at you in those moments that might actually be their way of feeling connected to you. Not asking, not reacting, just being there with you. But not all stares are soft. And this is where you need to pay attention. Because sometimes your dog's stare carries tension. Their body stiffens slightly. Their ears position differently. Their eyes become more focused, less relaxed. That kind of stare can mean uncertainty, confusion, even discomfort. Maybe something in the environment feels off. Maybe your behavior changed in a way they didn't expect. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to respond to something, and instead of acting immediately, they pause, they observe, they stare, trying to make sense of the situation before deciding what to do next. And then there are moments when your dog stares at you because they need something, but they're not sure how to ask. Hunger, attention, going outside. Sometimes dogs don't jump, bark, or make obvious signals. Instead, they just look at you, quietly, waiting for you to notice. It's a subtle request, one that's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But once you recognize it, it becomes obvious. The timing, the context, the behavior that follows, it all starts to make sense. What makes this even more interesting is how consistent this behavior can be. Your dog doesn't randomly decide to stare at you one day and never do it again. There are patterns, specific moments when it happens more often. Maybe when you're about to leave, maybe when you're relaxed, maybe when you're stressed. And once you start noticing those patterns, you begin to understand something important. Your dog is not reacting randomly. They're responding to your world in a way that makes sense to them, and their stare is one of the clearest signals they use. Most people never reach that level of awareness. They see the behavior, but they don't question it. They don't observe it. They don't try to understand it. And because of that, they miss one of the simplest ways to connect with their dog on a deeper level. Because communication with dogs doesn't require words. It requires attention, awareness, the willingness to see beyond the obvious. And when you do that, even something as simple as a stare becomes meaningful. The next time your dog looks at you like that, don't just ignore it. Pause for a second. Look back. Notice their body, their expression, the situation you're in. Ask yourself what might have triggered it. Not in a complicated way, just in a curious way. Because the more you pay attention, the clearer it becomes. And once you start understanding those moments, your relationship with your dog changes. It becomes less about reacting and more about connecting. And that's something most dog owners never truly experience.